The WWE said to be, quote, furious with AEW for this reason, and it is monumental. The company is also said to be upset with Edge over his latest comments regarding his contract status. A massive WWE prospect makes her in-ring singles debut this weekend. How did the company perceive that debut? A big return to AEW is planned imminently, and Charlie Flair's latest interview has some fans excited, others wanting to put their dome piece through the nearest brick wall. All of this and more in today's Amped Up Podcast for Monday, August 21st, 2023. Smash that up. Let BC know you're fully amplified. Grab your coffees and let's get amplified. And a couple of things before we get rocking. Of course, at the end of this podcast, some shout outs to some Amplified unit members that threw some coffee over to BC in that last podcast we did. Through that super thanks option down below, showing a whole nother level of support to the channel and showing some love over to BC. I want to make sure that you guys get a proper shout out and a big thank you right back. Secondly, tomorrow, I hope to be back in studio, at least for a podcast. I hope to be live for the Monday Night Raw review tomorrow morning/afternoon, whenever I can get that out to you guys. It's not 100%, it's not confirmed, it's not official. I'm not sure if I can move around plans for sure, but I hope to be back in studio for a live stream. I don't know if that's going to be channel members only for the chat. If you're already a channel member, you ain't got to do nothing but shine up that gold card after that green name. Make sure you're fully activated. If you're not a channel member, you still have time, obviously, but I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that. But just a heads up, possibility, a big possibility we could do that live. Monday Night Raw tonight, the review, tomorrow morning/afternoon. So just be on the lookout for that good possibility. All right, on to today's podcast. There's a lot to get to, man, so I just want to jump right into it. Let's start with a big WWE prospect. Made her singles debut this weekend. Ava Raine. You guys may know her as Simone Johnson, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's daughter. Now, she's been in NXT for a minute now. Some tag matches, I believe a 6-man tag. She even got a victory in a multi-person schmaz. But this was her first singles match this weekend. It was in Tampa, Florida, Saturday. That's August 19th, this past Saturday, Tampa, Florida. She defeated Ivy Nile for an NXT live event. She's also going to be, I believe, taking on Ivy at Heatwave. I believe that's a one-on-one match as well. So they're just trying to prep them. Go over everything you want to go over, rehearse it, gel with one another, get that chemistry. So WWE is putting them out there before Heatwave. Anyway, it's just good to see Ava Raine doing this singles thing. It feels like she's been in schism for an eternity. Of course, that's not the case, but that's how it seems. And it also feels like we're not seeing much improvement. And it feels that way because she has not been given an opportunity to show us improvement. But that all changes when you're in that ring one-on-one. It takes two to tango. And finally, Ava Raine is one of those two. And this is a huge step for WWE because you know they want to catapult her to the main roster sooner rather than later. Whether it's in the Bloodline storyline or not, there's a lot of money to be made via Ava Raine for WWE. They know this. So this is a monumental first step. It's really cool to know that the general reaction and response within the company from this debut was actually positive. They like what they saw. We're hearing there's, yes, room for improvement, but any fan that watches Ava Raine can tell you that. But the fact that WWE was happy with what they saw, that's the good news. It's all going to come down to, does she have the it factor or not? It doesn't matter if you're the son or daughter of a legend. That does not automatically anoint you the it factor. It's something you can't teach. It is something from within. Is it within the DNA? Who knows? We'll find out. But there's been some sons and daughters that just don't have it, like their father. So we'll see. Either she has the it factor and this is going to be a fun ride, or this is going to be hard to watch because you want to see her improve. You want to see her do so good in this company. But without the it factor, man, and with all the weight of the world on your shoulders being The Rock's daughter, and you don't have the it factor, this could come crumbling down before it even begins. We hope that's not the case. So again, internally, we're hearing WWE is happy with that debut. We'll see what happens with Heatwave and going forward, man. A monumental moment for the company and Ava Raine this weekend, defeating Ivy Nile. Now I want to move on over to, we'll stick with WWE for now. We'll stick with Edge. Edge versus Sheamus, a big match Friday night on SmackDown, but bigger than the match itself was what was on the line, possibly Edge's last match in WWE at least. And how they were selling it was of his career. Now, of course, he defeated Sheamus with 2 spears, but it was after the match. Super emotional, so well done. Edge and Sheamus embrace. Of course, they're really good friends, IRL, so they embrace in a big hug. Pyro is going off. Commentary is radio silent, just letting the moment breathe by itself. No words overlapping what we are witnessing. You have Edge's wife, Beth Phoenix, front row in tears as we fade to black and go off the air. It was just so well done, so super emotional. And you have a cliffhanger, right? Now you really don't know, was that the last you're going to see of Edge wrestling in at least WWE? Now, this is where the waters get kind of muddied. The company was actually upset with Edge. Nothing to do with what happened on SmackDown, but an interview that he gave, several actually, talking about his contract and admitting that that was the last match on the contract. The contract is done. Now, we already knew the contract details for Edge. His contract ended just after WrestleMania, and then they did an extension through SummerSlam. Now, the exact date, we didn't know. August, September. At the time, we didn't know. We just knew that it was an extension through SummerSlam. They didn't know what plans, if any, they had for Edge. Of course, they didn't have any. But just in case, they extended that through SummerSlam. And Edge went right out and said, no, that's my last match on my deal. That's it. So everybody started to make the assumption, wait a second, you can now go and wrestle for AEW and show up at All In Wembley. The 27th of August, one of the biggest wrestling shows of all time, Edge could show up. Did you imagine reconnecting with basically his brother Christian? That's how they're perceived. And look at one another as. Could you imagine Edge showing up with Christian or just in AEW, right? But bigger than that, it was just the thought. AEW, and we're going to talk about, this is a big story, and WWE is furious. But All In is massive. I don't know if you guys have been keeping track with ticket sales and how big this has gotten, but we're going to talk about this in just a few minutes. But it's massive. Whether you like AEW or not, I totally get it. That's your prerogative. But this is a massive event. And I totally agree. The booking has been almost non-existent, right? The care that Tony Khan has been putting into the booking of All In has fallen to the wayside long ago. But you cannot argue the fact that this is a massive event for pro wrestling. And the thought of Edge showing up, the pro wrestling world, that's all they were talking about after Friday. It wasn't just, oh, what a good SmackDown segment. It was, whoa, is Edge going to show up in AEW at All In? Nick Khan, that is the exact name I heard from this report, and it is very reputable. People that know a lot more inside those walls than even BC. And they name-bombed Nick Khan as being the dude that was really upset that Edge went into those interviews and said his last match was with Sheamus right before All In. My contract is up right before All In, as if they need any more pay-per-view buys, as if they need more tickets to be sold, as if there wasn't already enough buzz with All In. Now the possibility of Edge showing up. Nick Khan was the name that I heard, who was really pissed that Edge just left it blank like that. That's my last match. My contract is up. So WWE had Edge actually reiterate and say that, no, my contract is not up till September. I just want to clear the air. Guys, my contract isn't up yet. That was my last match, but I'm inked through September. How hilarious. How sad is that? That Edge had to go out, such a monumental moment. We should not even hear from Edge for weeks at the bare minimum. Just let that segment breathe that we saw on Friday night. But instead, he's got to come out and clarify. 3 separate times, Edge had to clarify. Wait. I'm still with WWE through September. So what that means is obviously everybody can relax. RELAX. He is not going to show up at All In August 27th. Nick Khan, WWE made sure that everybody knew, hold on, there's no chance he's showing up for All In. So the internal, now he's not in the doghouse. Edge doesn't care, man. Edge could easily go to AEW in the next several weeks. Because when your contract expires, you do not have a 90-day no-compete clause or 6 months, a year. No, your contract is expired. You can go anywhere at any time. AEW, the local bingo hall, Impact Wrestling, MLW, you can go to any promotion. So I doubt very much that he's placed in a doghouse, but this is how WWE operates. They can be very petty. And if they are that upset already over just the concept of All In, and then one of their biggest stars says, hey, by the way, my contract's done, All In's next week, does not debunk those rumors or that topic, it makes the wrestling world talk. And that upsets WWE because it raises buzz and interest for something that is not their product. So I just thought that was an interesting story because the exact name we heard was Nick Khan, was not happy with that at all. Of course, he's got his own little beef to settle with AEW. Him and Tony Khan just do not see eye to eye. So Nick Khan does not want AEW to succeed financially on any one event, especially something this massive. I think that's a good segue to talk about our main story. What do you guys say? As long as we're talking about WWE being pissed off, this is not about another talent, though, like Edge. WWE, and this is a quote I heard from that same reputable source that BC has, furious with AEW. And they're furious because of how massive All In has become. Are you guys ready for this? All In. Listen closely. They have set a new attendance record already in terms of ticket sales. Now, the final exclamation point will be when all of those asses are actually in those seats, and then we get that final word that it is a new attendance record. But in terms of tickets sold, it is a new record. Over 85,000 tickets sold for Wembley. And if you look at the chart, guys, it's absolutely sexy, man. It is a nice looking chart. Even if every single ass is not in those seats, there is enough to say that that is a packed house and beyond. We were saying if they get 40 to 50, AEW can say that's a success. But when they reached 50 and started talking about 60, I started to go, wait a second, for real? Like, are we serious? They're going to pull 60,000 fans? And then we started talking 70, and I said, this is out of hand. Now we're talking 80, 85. Do they try to open up a 87 to 90,000 capacity? Can they open up thousands of more seats? The capacity is just over 85. Looks like they're going to hit that max. 85,000 fans in Wembley, defeating WrestleMania 32 for the record, and that's what WWE cannot have. They can't. Their egos will not let them. Their egos will not let them even think of that notion that another pro wrestling company currently has the new record for the most attendance. They are going to go into overdrive with this WrestleMania 40. I'll get to that in a second. But WrestleMania 32, of course, you guys remember WWE completely BS'd that number and said live during WrestleMania 32 that over 100,000 fans were in attendance. Over 100,000. They were just trying to beat the Pontiac Silverdome, WrestleMania 3, when they also lied and said that WrestleMania 3 had 90,000 plus fans. You guys remember that? And you want to know the sad truth? It wasn't even close. Public records show that it was 78,000 fans, not 93. WrestleMania 3 Pontiac Silverdome. That's sad for a lot of older fans, right? Because that number we're always going to remember. Because we truly thought we were part of something special. 93,000 plus fans. Never at that time did you think you could put that many people into one stadium. And even afterwards, we never thought it would be beat. And then you find out it was only 78,000. Still a hell of a lot of fans, but what the fuck? That's over 15,000 fans less. If you're going to fabricate, at least be in the ballpark. So then WrestleMania 32 comes along, because they stuck with that number. They refused to say 78. They still say 93,000 for WrestleMania 3. So then they wanted WrestleMania 32 to beat that, right? Modernize the number. So they said 100,000 fans for WrestleMania 32, Dallas, Texas. You guys know what the real public release was afterwards? Texas, Dallas, and surrounding cities gave the actual attendance. It was just over 80,000. It was 81,734. Currently, AEW has beaten that in ticket sales alone. 81,734 for WrestleMania 32, not 100,000. That's why this is a new tickets sold anyway. We'll see the actual attendance on the 27th. They should know that attendance by the second match during that pay-per-view. The attendance will be named out or called out, at least internally, and it's up to TK when he wants to announce it live to the crowd and to all of us watching. Now, TK, speaking of, has said that the live gate was at $9 million at 70,000 tickets sold. Again, that was when we sold, or we, like I'm selling these things, 70,000 this company sold. 70,000 tickets, and the gate was currently at 9 million. So now you're well over 80,000 tickets sold. You got to be looking at $10 million plus for the live gate already. How much higher does that go? How many more tickets can they make room for? The capacity can only go so much with their staging that is already set in stone, by the way. It doesn't look like TK is willing to budge any more on his set. All right, you guys ready for this? This is this is WWE at its finest, or worst, depending on how you see it. But this is what they do. They refuse to let another wrestling company even have a moment of spotlight. So immediately, WWE is boasting. This is a quote. They're now boasting over 90,000 tickets have already been sold for WrestleMania 40, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for early 2023. They already came up with that number, 90,000. Think about it, guys. AEW just sold 85,000, set a new record for tickets sold, 85,000. And WWE is now coming up with the number 90,000. They want you to know, hold up, WrestleMania, many, many months away, has already pulled 90,000. What they don't want you to hear or remember is that that's over the course of 2 days, guys. It's not. I can confirm this. I've already checked it out for you. I have double checked it. Double discount, what is it? The discount double check. Guys, it's for the 2 days so far. And it's not 90,000. They've embellished it. But that's for the 2 days combined so far. And we're hearing that both are still under 40. Still very good, by the way. That first day sales for WrestleMania, when you are talking 2 days, WWE crushed it and made a ton of money. But they didn't even hit the 80,000 mark. But they want you to know it's 90,000. It surpasses 85,000, and we're not going to bring up the fact that it's 2 days, not one. WWE, man, it's funny, you know? And you say, well, can you blame them, BC? You don't want another company overshadowing you when you just released your WrestleMania tickets. It's your biggest show of the year, and people are talking about AEW's Wembley attendance, setting a record. So I get it business-wise, guys. It's just when you look at WWE's track record, it's just, I mean, it gets to the point of ridiculous. Or I'll use the word ridiculousness, because it is. They don't just like tell a little white lie or a fib. They go massive. 78,000 becomes 93,000 at WrestleMania 3. 81,000 becomes over 100,000 at WrestleMania 32. Dude, you can't BS like that. And you say, well, BC, maybe it's tickets sold is what they're announcing, not the asses and seats. No, it's massively embellished. Even tickets sold was massively embellished. If they were at least in the same ballpark, the same realm of the truth, WWE would not be dragged for saying and doing what they say and do. But the fact that they're not even in the ballpark of the numbers they release, that's what makes it pathetic, man. But furious is the word that we are hearing WWE as far as how impressive, how successful All In has become already. And it's this Sunday. Massive, man. Big. And you know, oh man, just think Vince McMahon and Paul Levesque. Obviously, Paul got beat by Tony Khan when he was going against them on Wednesday nights. Got booted to Tuesday. And Paul Levesque, from day one, has always called it a piss ant t-shirt company. Could you imagine getting beat record-wise by a piss ant t-shirt company that beat your NXT, supposedly, right? That was supposed to be Paul Levesque. Could you imagine getting beat? Paul Levesque, Vince McMahon, Nick Khan is the financial guy. He is the guy to make sure that something like this never happens. Which is obviously why I'm not shocked that he was the name I heard, was most pissed about Edge causing more hype for All In. Nick Khan, the financial guy, getting beat by Tony Khan for this one night at least. WWE furious at AEW's All In success. Sounds about right. I wasn't shocked when I heard that from my people. I really wasn't. I just kind of had a little bit of a grin, like, yup, that sounds like WWE. I think that was my actual response to that, too, when this source, I hate saying that, it's a good friend of mine, just knows a lot more of the ins and outs in the business than I am able to know. So I'm very grateful to have these people get this word for me. But I think that was my response. I literally just, it was like an LOL. It was like, yup, sounds about right. That's WWE, man. Like, you just be in that conference call, all right? In the meeting in Stamford, Connecticut today, for instance, right? Or it's Monday night. A lot of them may be already at the arena of the show, tonight's Raw. You know, and just talking about, damn, are those headlines really saying they got the new record of tickets sold? Damn it, say we got 90,000. Where's my doofus son-in-law? Get Nick Khan. Tell him we got 90,000. And 90,000 beats 85,000. Anyway, guys. Massive for AEW. Now, a lot of fans, staying with this real quick before we move on with the stories, a lot of fans are just befuddled with the card, right? It's not very... Even the talent, man. You guys see some of these headlines? The talent is befuddled that Tony Khan dropped the ball with the card and the lack of interest that he was supposed to build. So it's almost like the main event is really Wembley. The audience, the tens of thousands of fans, just the event itself is really the selling point. All in Wembley in front of that many people. Because the event itself, while there's some good matches, you know, you're going to get good wrestling. Some of these matches may intrigue you. The fact that these matches just started to get confirmed a few weeks ago with an event of this magnitude, a lot of the talent is befuddled. And you started to hear that. These headlines told you talent is like, whoa, this is not what we were expecting. A lot of talent is upset they're not on the card, or that there's so many schmaz matches. The talent themselves are just not thrilled with how Tony Khan went about business for All In. Fans, a lot, even diehard AEW tribalists, tried and true, are not thrilled with this card. Or at least how it was presented, with just a few weeks and not a lot of time to really build the suspense. So let's go over the card. Let's see where you guys... I don't know how you guys feel about the card, but let me run it down for you. And if you didn't hear the full card yet, BC is going to recite this to you. As of now, this is the full card. And when I'm done, I think it's 8 matches, right? And then a pre-show match, which makes it 9. So I'm glad Tony Khan, as of now, doesn't have 14 matches like he usually does, but give it time. You still got several days. He could add 3 or 4 more matches. You could get a couple more this Wednesday, a couple more Friday, a couple more Saturday, and before you know it, you got 15 matches. But these are the matches that are currently announced. You're going to have an AEW World Championship match. Champion MJF versus Adam Cole. The AEW Women's Championship on the line. Cheetah, your champion, versus Toni Storm versus Saraya versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, in a fatal 4-way match. The AEW Tag Team Championships are on the line. FTR Champions versus the challengers, the Young Bucks. Side note, I am hearing that match will still go on as planned. Of course, Cash Wheeler is involved in some massive legal problems right now. We're not going to discuss that any further until we get more deets on it. But we are hearing that Cash Wheeler will be at Wembley. That tag match will go on as planned against the Young Bucks. There's also going to be a Stadium Stampede match featuring Mox, Claudio, Wheeler, Kingston, Cassidy, Best Friends, and the Lucha Bros. Stadium Stampede. There's going to be a 6-man tag match. Kenny Omega, Hangman, Adam Page, Ibushi versus Switchblade, Jay White, Juice Robinson, Tasheta. 6-man tag action. That's one of those matches where a lot of people are saying that's the best you got for Kenny Omega in front of over 80,000 fans, an event like All In. And Omega is in a 6-man schmaz. Coffin match. Sting and Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. Tony Khan recently said that Sting was undefeated in AEW. I wasn't able to fact check that, if you will, but I'm guessing he knows what he's talking about. If that is true, that's pretty impressive. I know he doesn't wrestle all the time, but Sting undefeated in AEW, that's pretty special because he's had a lot of matches, believe it or not. So anyway, coffin match. Sting and Darby versus Swerve Strickland and AR Fox. Again, it's one of those matches where AR Fox and Swerve Strickland should not be in a coffin match with Sting and Darby, right? It doesn't call for a coffin match. You got to save that for the times that it can be needed, right? So you're not ruining the prestige, diminishing a match like the coffin match. AR Fox and Swerve Strickland? Again, that's just one of those matches where people are like, Another one is Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay, we know what he can do in the ring, and we know, as much as we love Chris Jericho, he's went back about 76 steps. There's no way he can hang pace-wise with Will Ospreay, so now Ospreay's going to have to kind of dumb it down skill-wise several steps to match up with Jericho. You're going to have to do a lot more selling, a lot more in-ring psychology, a lot more story being told. I'm fine with that. But it's not what fans are going to be used to with Ospreay. It's going to be an interesting match. I hope Jericho doesn't try to match him step for step, move for move, because then that could lead to a real sloppy match. A lot of mistakes. Not that anybody needs to tell Jericho how to wrestle. I'm just saying it's an awkward pairing. Maybe if Jericho was in his prime, that'd be one hell of a thought process to think about that match, right? But to put that in All In, I don't know, man. Jericho Ospreay, it's another match that fans are kind of like, But that's the card. Pre-show, you're going to have Aussie Open versus Cole and MJF, which is the main event of All In. They're going to be in a tag team versus Aussie Open for the ROH World Tag Team titles. A lot of people are mind-boggled. Why would you put your main event out there in the pre-show? Right? Because you want that big pop at the end of the night. You want that big pop the first time seeing MJF. The first time seeing Adam Cole. And you're already just going to ruin the pop, you know? Now you're already going to see him. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here, man. BC is going to say, business-wise, I don't mind this call. I really don't mind this. This is your buy-in or your pre-show, your kickoff. You know, you're going to raise some suspense here, hopefully. Some intrigue, you know. Raise some eyeballs with this decision. MJF and Adam Cole are out there. They're going to be the main event later. Here they are as a tag team going for tag titles. You could do something storyline-wise during that pre-show that really sets up the anticipation at an amplified level for later in the night. People that were not originally going to buy that pay-per-view heard or saw what happened during the pre-show, and that's coming up later in the main event. I like this business-wise. I hope it doesn't fall to the wayside. I hope there's proper care put into this, because this could be big. I don't mind this. It's something unique. We don't see it often, and there's reasons why, because there is a lot of negative by doing this. But there can be some monumental positives to come out of this. So I know a lot of people, most people are shitting on this decision to put MJF and Adam Cole into the pre-show in this tag match. BC is not one of those people. If done correctly, this could be big for the show, the actual main show. Woo! That's a lot of talk on All In, man. You just got to give props to Tony Khan and AEW, man. This is, even though I just wish more TLC was put into the card itself and raising the intrigue of the event. This is one of those wrestling shows that is, I mean, the buzz, the amount of people that are going to be there, it's on another level. I mean, this is their night, AEW, to put themselves on the map. There's going to be a lot of people that don't watch AEW week to week, show to show. This is your calling card. This is why you say, we are right there, or should be, with WWE. I understand numbers-wise, they're not, guys. I know what they're pulling on Dynamite, 850-ish. 1,000. WWE Raw is trying to hit 2 million. I get it. Rampage, 300,000. Collision, 400,000 to 500,000. While SmackDown is pulling over 2 million. I get it. I'm saying if Tony Khan, who already says in interviews that they're in a war with WWE, that they're real competition with WWE, this is their chance to have fans not roll their eyes and go, come on, bro, no, you're not. This is their chance to say, this is why we are. This is a monumental night. This is right up there with the debut of Dynamite. That's how big this is. In some aspects, even bigger. Moving on. Let's go to, let's stick with AEW real quick. A couple of big returns, man. Santana and Ortiz returning to AEW. It is imminent. We are hearing Santana has been cleared, injured since last year when he tore his ACL. I believe that was Blood and Guts 2022. I bring that up because we just had a B&G. So that shows you how long this has been. That was last year's Blood and Guts. And of course, Ortiz was scheduled for an indie show recently, or for All In. He was scheduled for an indie show. That was pulled. That appearance was pulled. Now the promotion is saying it was AEW's call to pull Ortiz. So this is right at the same time we're hearing Santana is cleared. Ortiz gets pulled by AEW. And we understand they were not on good terms last we checked, right? Santana, Ortiz, problems there, right? Issues. But we're hearing that they're going to return together. That's the internal report we're getting. We'll see how it actually unfolds. But a bit of news I wanted to get out to you guys. Santana, Ortiz, don't be too shocked. Hopefully it's a fun surprise. Hopefully we didn't ruin the surprise, but don't be that shocked if you see them at All In or in the very near future. And don't be shocked if it's together, despite recent tensions between the two. Moving on, Charlie Flair. Man, you're going to be excited. If you're a Charlie fan, you're excited about this. If you're not, you're looking for the nearest brick wall and you want to put your dome piece through it. But Charlie Flair recently did an interview with, I believe, Sports Illustrated. And when talking about breaking the record and getting more championships, she says she wants it all. She wants to, and she is going to break the record with many more championships. She says it's something she hasn't been really talking about, and we know why. The company doesn't want her to, and she knows it's not in her best interest to keep talking about how many more titles you're going to win when you've already won 14 in just 7 or 8 years. And you know there's people like Naomi that have been there 10 years before she left, and she only had 2 championships. One because it was Black History Month, and the other because it was her home city/town of Orlando. That's the sad truth. Look at the booking of her. Look how they took the title away from her, and look how she never got it back at any other point in time. 10 years. Just as, if not more athletic than Charlie, is Naomi Trinity Fatu. Some would easily say a better wrestler. BC is in that camp. You know, when Charlotte Flair first came upon the scene, NXT, into the main roster, we all said the same thing. Really good wrestler, right? Good wrestler, no question. Improvement that needs to be achieved, yes. Right? We saw in NXT, and unfortunately, we see still to this day, her selling. When she does not want to sell, Charlie will not sell. You say John Cena, 3, 4, 5 moves of doom. Well, Charlie Flair falls in that category, guys. You don't think about it, right? Because you've been sold the goods by WWE. She's a good wrestler, but WWE made you believe she's actually the best women's wrestler on the planet. Not even close. She does natural selection, a figure 8 leg lock, and the moonsault that never connects. That's it. She chops, she punches, she kicks. That's Charlie Flair in a nutshell. She sells only when she wants to. That's what made her and Nia Jax so much fun. I told you guys before they wrestled, I said, grab your popcorn and your coffees, because this is going to be fun. Nia Jax hates to sell. Charlie hates to sell. I told you guys before that match, I believe it was live, I said, watch, it's going to be fun. Sure enough, we end up finding out they actually fought each other in the ring. They were really hitting each other. They were not happy with one another. We saw it happen live, and then we heard the reports that backed up what we were viewing. Charlie and Nia Jax both confirmed, yes, they got a little carried away and pissed off with one another, but all is good. They talked it over. They're cool with one another. But I told you, So when the selling is off and you're not going to make your opponent look good all the time, and you only have a few moves anyway, and there's people that are simply just better, like even Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, should have had the world in that company. Asuka, completely overshadowed by Charlie since Asuka arrived on the main roster, literally from day one. I mean, her undefeated streak was done by Ashley Flair, Charlie Flair, at WrestleMania. I know, yeah, you can't blame Charlie for that, BC. I mean, that's what booking wanted. I understand. The point is, Charlotte Flair is always, till this very day, overshadowing anything Asuka does. That was years ago when Charlotte ended, and that was the Rumble victory, guys. Asuka wins the Rumble. You expect her to go on and fulfill that destiny. She loses. After winning the Rumble, she loses to Charlie and loses the undefeated streak. And here we are years later. Let's go back to just a couple years ago when she won the Raw Women's Championship and she never really got to defend it. Instead, VKM had her tag with Charlie when Charlie came back, hold the hand of Charlie just so Charlie would get cheered. That's the truth. You can go back. They put her in a tag team with Asuka so that Charlie would also get cheered. Give Charlotte Flair the rub. And in the process, Asuka never really had a good reign. She dropped the title, and not long after, it was to Charlie Flair who had that title, that same exact title. How pathetic, how sad is that? And now you look at just recently, who's overshadowing? Asuka gets the championship on a Saturday afternoon, by the way. And then a month or two later, she's dropping the championship already. Not to Charlie, Bianca, and then it went over to Io. But Charlie Flair and Bianca Belair was the main storyline this whole last several months, while Asuka was your actual champion. But it was Charlie on your TV screen every week. Charlie and Bianca getting a tag team victory this week over Damage Control. Your champion, Io Shirai, Io Sky, losing to Charlie and Bianca. Where was Asuka? Everybody says, well, it makes sense, BC, because you got to make your faces still look strong, right? They have to get some type of revenge since Io walked out of SummerSlam with the title. So Charlotte and Bianca have to look good now. Well, where's Asuka? Asuka walked into SummerSlam with the title, walked out without it, and we haven't seen her since. Well, no. Nobody wants to talk about that because it doesn't fit the narrative, right? We're just always supposed to make Charlie Flair look good. Charlie has to always be involved with the title somehow. So Asuka's just another name that just her whole career cannot get out of the shadow of Charlie Flair. There's only so many spots on a Friday night that you could put the ladies. It's always Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. And then you don't even get to see wrestlers like Xia Li. Wrestlers like Ember Moon, Athena have to leave WWE or get DOS booted. Mickie James, at her age, still can run circles around most female wrestlers in this world on this planet. And she's not in WWE. You lose all this great talent because we've been playing for 8 years the Charlie Flair agenda game. It's fun if you're a dedicated Charlie Flair fan, right? It's like my Yankees from 96 to 2000 or even 2001, even though we lost that World Series. But for that 5 to 6 year span, I mean, the Yankees were basically untouchable. So I understand if you're a Charlie fan, you're loving it, but you got to understand there is a lot of people that are just done with this constant shoving Charlie Flair down all of the fans' throats for years. Like at some point, even Becky Lynch took a back seat this entire summer. Nothing to do with the title picture, involved with Trish Stratus. Now, you may or may not have liked that feud and storyline. That's fine. That's the eye of the beholder. That's your prerogative. The point is, even Becky Lynch knew, let me just go away for a second with the title. Charlie goes away for a few months just so she can get a good reaction when she returns, and she's instantly catapulted back to the title. She returned several months ago to Tampa and instantly won the title. Who was that? Ronda Rousey she defeated? This time around, she would have already had it if there wasn't such severe backlash when she returned. She would have already had number 15. So anyway, you go back to this article, and Charlie Flair is now saying, listen, I haven't been talking a lot about it, and she knows why. It's because the fans are like, no, please, no, we don't need to see you with your 15th title in 8 years. And now she's like, no, with WrestleMania 40 around, I'm going to start talking about it because I don't want just 15, 16. She says, she wants to set a record that can never be matched again. Well, you're going to. She's probably going to get 20 and beyond, guys. And we've been sold this bill of goods, right? We've been sold that she's the best wrestler in WWE and really on the planet for women. But if you truly know how to dissect wrestling, she's actually not. She is not better than Io Sky. She's not better than Mercedes Moné or even Trinity Fatu. To say she's the best wrestler on the planet. No, Athena would run circles. I don't get it. I really don't. Tiffany Stratton right now. Tiffany Stratton would give Charlotte Flair a run. You know, most of us fans, we want the best for Charlotte Flair. Just do it correctly. We've had 8 years of this Charlotte Flair. Right? And lately she goes for a while so that she can come back and get a good reception the first week or two. And then it falls right back to most of the fans not caring or even booing her. So then she immediately turns heel because she doesn't know how to react to the boo. So live, without any story behind it, she just starts like ridiculing the audience. And she turns into like a heel as a defense mechanism. Then the company will put her back as a face the next week, tag her up with like Bianca or throw her with an Asuka or whoever's face at the time. But then the second she gets booed, she goes in the business for herself as a defense mechanism and she's a heel again. Face heel every week is something different. Nobody knows how to view Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair doesn't know who Charlotte Flair is character-wise. And we've done this for 8 years. So most fans just want to see this done correctly. Most fans don't want to see another 8 years of the same shit. 14 to 15 more title reigns. More main event at WrestleMania for Charlotte. Nobody else. Unless it's whoever she's working with that's about to get defeated. There has to be you have to take that gamble. Even when Hulkamania was running wild, Vincent Kennedy McMahon knew you have to have other options. Even as erratic and as wild as the Ultimate Warrior was in and out of the ring, VKM knew it was time to try the Ultimate Warrior. And it worked in many cases, by the way. A lot of people say it was a big failure. The belt should have never came off Hogan at WrestleMania 6, but it was not a failure. If Warrior could have just conducted himself better outside the ring, it actually was the right call. Warrior was on fire at that time. Questionable booking decisions and a wild Ultimate Warrior outside the ring led to it not being the right call in the end. But you have to. You look at Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné's, I believe she has 6 title reigns. 3 of them equaled 80-something days. And the reason for that is because they wanted to hot potato it, fast track it back to Charlie those 3 times because it was patenting where she is now at 14 and about to beat her father's record at 16. So they used Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, they used her to give it to her 3 times and then give it right back to Charlie real fast. 80-something days, 3 reigns. This is a topic we've discussed so many times in the past. We'll probably, unfortunately, have to discuss it so many times in the future because a lot of fans are just fed up with it. It's the same old story and it doesn't move the needle. The ratings do not show you that Charlie draws. The merchandise does not have her ever in the top 5. She squeaks in the top 10 at times. No metric. After 8 years and 14 titles and about to be the 15th. I wouldn't doubt if she gets 2 more by WrestleMania 40 so that in Philadelphia, she reaches her father's record. I would not doubt that that's going to happen. And no metric can say that that's the right decision. No metric can say that that's called for, or that she's the one that should be on all the posters or on the side of the truck because her last name is Flair. And she's got the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and she's everything that Paul Levesque McMahon and Vincent Kennedy McMahon love. And to wrap up this conversation with a great big bow, wouldn't it even be ridiculous to think of 16 title reigns in less than 10 years? When it took her father, one of the greatest to ever do this pro wrestling thing, the Nature Boy Ric Flair, it took that dude decades to get 16 championships. Decades! And Charlie will get 16 in less than 10 years. Treating it like it's Halloween candy, door to door. I got a Snickers bar, a Baby Ruth, a whatchamacallit, a 3 Musketeers, and a Kit Kat. Here's championships. Just put them in the candy bag. 16, because she will get 16 within 10 years. By WrestleMania 40, I'm seeing 2 more title reigns to make sure that in Philadelphia she has her father's record. What's the rush? Why? Why not concentrate on other females? If she's there with a 15 to 20 year career up front, maybe we can start talking about a record like that. But this company was in a rush from day one to make sure she's near that 16 and ready to pounce when they snap their finger and give the word. That's not how this should have been conducted, man, because a lot of wrestling fans are not going to take that seriously. They're not going to look at that as believable, that somebody has won 16 titles in less than 10 years. Or to think, or not to think, well, damn, they lost it 15 times in less than 10 years? When you have title reigns that we all grew up with that were for years. Whether it's a Bruno Sammartino, or a Bob Backlund, or a Pedro Morales, or a little bit later on, like if you're BC with Hulk Hogan's title reigns, 1474. And now, even today, Roman Reigns over 3 years. Gunther, over a year, I believe, correct? You got these lengthy title reigns. Well, what does that say for Charlie then? This is why a lot of fans can't be on board with that. But the biggest thing is there's just no connection to Charlie Flair for a lot of fans. Again, if you love Charlie, that's great. That's no shade. That's legit. Good for you. It's like loving my Yankees. A lot of people hate them, can't stand them. That's fine. I hope you appreciate that I'm a fan and I like when they win. If you can't stand them, you're loving this season. They do nothing but lose this year. So if you don't like the Yankees, you're loving their losing streak right now at 8 games and 4 or 5 games under 500. I understand if you're a fan of something, that's great for you. But the majority of Major League Baseball cannot stand the Yankees. The majority of the wrestling fans have just been fed up with the booking of Charlie Flair. It always ends the same way. And a lot of females that should be getting the proper time, effort, and care put into their booking get stomped on in the process. And we're not even blaming that that's Ashley Flair doing it, but that's the problem. She's the vehicle being used by the company. And this vehicle is just running every other car off the road. Literally, talents out of the company. When I say off the road, out of the company. Talents like Mickie James, Ember Moon, Sasha Banks, Naomi, and so many more. How do you lose talent like that? How do you not find good booking? How do you not make names like that happy, much less fire those names, release them, or make names like that want to leave? And here we are, 2023. All those names are gone. So many names in this company right now that should be getting really good booking. You can't even find them, like the Xia Lis. Asuka's holding titles and she's just a placeholder. Asuka has a championship, but the real focus is on Charlie Flair the whole time. Year after year, that's what we see with Asuka. Io's holding a title, but she's losing to fucking Charlotte Flair this past Friday, her and Bianca. And Io's got the title. Even with championships, everybody takes a back seat. That's why this conversation needs to be had, because after year of doing the same thing, and the needle is not moving whatsoever, don't you think we should change something up? They don't even try to change Charlie. Every week, it's however the crowd reacts, Charlie kind of goes with the flow. Man, it is exhausting. Guys, that's what I got for you on the Amped Up podcast for Monday, August 21st. Man, the days, they just meshed together, man. We've been doing so much traveling, a lot of business to conduct. Again, I hope to be live with you guys back in the studio for Monday Night Raw's review. If I'm not, very soon, I assure you guys, man, we'll do a studio podcast. So I'll see what I can do on that front. Before we take off, shout outs to some Amplified Unit members in the last podcast we did. I believe that was Saturday afternoon, the SmackDown review. Several of you guys chucked a coffee over to BC and the channel via the super thanks button down below. Big thank you to you guys. I'm going to give a proper shout out to Aubrey B. Aubrey says, BC, thank you. The absolute best podcast in the biz. Aubrey B., I appreciate you. Thank you for the coffee. Thank you for being you. Appreciate that big time. WWE AEW Marvel fan. Hold on, where was it? There it is. WWE AEW Marvel Fan Gold Team channel member says, I don't see Edge announcing his retirement on a weekly show. It has to be something special for next year's WrestleMania 40. And I'd have Randy Orton turn heel by viciously assaulting Edge, similar to how he did in 2020. Randy Orton versus Edge in a 3 stages of hell match where the loser must retire at WrestleMania, as we were robbed of that match happening in front of a live audience in 2020. I love that idea. Keep Randy Orton away from Scooter McGee, Flip-Flops Flanagan, Matthew P.H. Riddle, and have him return as a diabolical heel, ruthless, vicious, a viper, a legend killer. And I would absolutely be on board with Orton and Edge reigniting their feud, and maybe that's a way for Edge to go out and Randy to continue for another year or two at least. Very good call. WWE AEW Marvel fan, man. Always chucking a coffee to the channel, basically every podcast. So I really appreciate that, man. Always want to make sure you know that that thank you is going right back to you, bro. And that gold card at the end of your name, WWE AEW Marvel fan, that means more than anything, man. That's the top level of support you can possibly show the channel. So all these little side coffees, those are the cherries on the coffees on top. Appreciate you, brother. And also Ron C. 23. Where'd Ron C? There he is. Ron C. 2-spot coffee. Y'all know I love me some Charlotte, but a new direction must happen away from the title picture. Ron C23, it's fitting that you threw the channel that coffee. And that comment was highlighted, man, because we just had a lengthy conversation on the status of Charlie Flair and where the problem lies for a lot of fans. And Ron C23, for those of you that don't know, long-time subscriber to the channel. And we've had memberships for about 7 or 8 months. I believe he's been a member for just about all of them. But Ron C23 is a big Charlotte Flair fan. Charlie Flair. But even Ron C23 says, I'm going to repeat this. Y'all know I love me some Charlotte, but a new direction must happen away from the title picture. Ron C23, I love that, man. When somebody can be a fan of something, but also know that it's not working. You guys know how big of a fan or a supporter I am, and will be of Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. And you guys remember how critical I was when she was with Bayley and the Boss and Hug connection. I did not feel that was the right booking for Sasha at that time, while Charlie was going for her 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th championship. And we knew it was going to lead to a non-existent division that was already non-existent. They were fed a bunch of lies that they were going to be the centerpiece of that division. Of course, that failed. Bayley and Sasha walked out for a minute. And then they told the same lies to Sasha when she was with Trinity, and they had to do the same thing again. Walk the fuck. But as a fan, I said that about Bray Wyatt when Bray's booking goes awry. After Rumble, they had nothing for Bray. That was clear going into Mania, before the issues with Bray, by the way. And this whole weird Bobby Lashley thing, I was not on board with that. If you're a fan, you want to call it out. It's like my Yankees or my Packers. When they suck, you gotta say it. It sucks. It's because you love it. You want to see it get better, right? So Ron C23, a supporter of Charlotte Flair, but knows that this just isn't working. Sees the bigger picture. Listens to us. Ron C23, I appreciate you, dude. And I thank you for the coffee, man. It's never needed, but obviously it's appreciated. Always good to see your name pop up in these podcasts. So, to my super thankers, man, to all the coffees. Again, not needed, always appreciated. I appreciate you guys more than anything. And until next time, and there will be a next time, Top Guy, I'm out. BC, saying check you. Peace!